February 5th, 2022. Heather Morgan posts a video on YouTube where she raps under the alias Razzle Khan. Pink hair, gold chains. Lyrics where she presents herself as the Crocodile of Wall Street. In the track, she raps, Razzle Khan here to disrupt, corrupt, and wreck the status quo. 2,347 views, 11 likes. The comments overflow with mockery. 72 hours later, on February 8th, 2022, at 6 in the morning, Federal Bureau of Investigation agents break down the door of her Manhattan apartment. 12 armed agents burst in simultaneously. In the bedroom, they find $50,000 in cash, hidden in a book with hollowed-out pages. In a cloud storage, a file titled passwords.txt, containing the private keys to 94,000 bitcoins. Value at the time of arrest, $3.6 billion. At the euro exchange rate, $4.5 billion. It is the largest financial seizure in the history of the United States Department of Justice. But here's what frightens investigators most. They realize that two people, a cringe rapper from YouTube and her husband with an intelligence quotient above 160, managed to fool the entire system for 5 years. They hacked Bitfinex, one of the most secure cryptocurrency exchange platforms in the world, executed more than 25,000 transactions across the blockchain, lived a luxurious life in Manhattan, traveled, enjoyed the stolen billions. And throughout this entire time, Heather was filming ridiculous rap videos, as if mocking the entire world. Who was really behind the hack? Why did a genius with an intelligence quotient of 160 plus make the stupidest mistake in the history of cybercrime? And what did Ilya say to the Federal Bureau of Investigation agents that made the lead investigator turn pale and immediately call the director? August 2nd, 2016. 2 in the morning, Hong Kong. Bitfinex servers detect an anomaly. 2,072 unauthorized transactions trigger simultaneously. In 8 minutes, 119,754 bitcoins disappear from user accounts. At the time, $71 million. Today, at the 2024 exchange rate, this sum would exceed $10 billion. It is the largest cryptocurrency theft in history at that moment. Even the Mt. Gox hack in 2014 pales in comparison to the scale of the operation. Bitfinex's security team panics. The technical director stares at the screens, not believing his eyes. No trace of hacking, no suspicious connections, no brute force attempts. The system indicates that the transactions were authorized by the legitimate user keys. But this is impossible. 2,072 wallets cannot simultaneously authorize fund withdrawals at the same moment. Physically impossible. The technical director does what he should have done 4 months earlier. He launches an audit of the multi-signature wallet system that Bitfinex had implemented in April 2016 to quote 3 and discovers a flaw the size of the Grand Canyon. Here's how it worked. Each withdrawal required 2 signatures, the first from the user, the second from the platform via partner company BitGo. In theory, this made theft impossible. Even if a hacker accessed a user's account, they could not withdraw funds without the second signature from BitGo. But here's what Bitfinex engineers had not anticipated. The BitGo system automatically approved requests coming from the platform's internal database. It was assumed that if the request came from inside the Bitfinex system, it was legitimate. This was a fatal architectural error. The hacker, having obtained access to Bitfinex's internal database, could create false withdrawal requests. BitGo saw these requests as legitimate and automatically applied its signature. The security system had transformed into a highway for the thief. The protection meant to prevent theft had actually facilitated it. Within 24 hours, the Bitcoin price drops 20%. Investors panic. Bitfinex freezes all withdrawals. The Federal Bureau of Investigation opens an investigation. Blockchain analysts from around the world begin tracking the stolen coins. but the thief is already 3 moves ahead of them all. The 119,754 bitcoins begin their journey through a digital labyrinth. The stolen coins fragment into thousands of small pieces and disappear into a network of more than 10,000 intermediary wallets. A transfer of 100 bitcoins becomes 50 transfers of 2 bitcoins. Then 500 transfers of 0.1. Then thousands of microtransactions of 0.001. Each level of fragmentation adds a new layer of obfuscation. This is not the work of an amateur. This is not a script kiddie who found a vulnerability by chance. This is the work of someone who understands blockchain architecture better than most cryptocurrency platform engineers. Someone planned this operation with surgical precision. And this someone is now sitting in a Manhattan apartment, sipping coffee, and planning the next 5 years of their life. The double life begins. 2016 to 2022. 6 years of perfect camouflage. Ilya and Heather live in New York, like an ordinary, prosperous millennial couple. Ilya presents himself as a tech entrepreneur. He attends conferences, participates in panels, gives interviews on blockchain and the future of finance. Absolutely legally. Absolutely publicly. Heather goes even further. She writes articles for Forbes, Inc. magazine, becomes a columnist, marketing expert. Her LinkedIn profile is impeccable. She advises startups, hosts webinars, builds her personal brand. And the most brilliant part, she launches a YouTube channel under the alias RazzleCon. Her videos are deliberately made to be ultra cringe. She raps about money, success, cryptocurrency, wears gold chains, makes faces, calls herself the Crocodile of Wall Street. In one track, she raps, "RazzleCon here to disrupt, corrupt, and wreck the status quo." The irony is so obvious that no one sees it. She literally tells the audience that she engages in corruption. But everyone thinks it is just bad rap from a talentless marketer. The comments under the videos are full of mockery. "This is the worst thing I have seen. Who listens to this? Delete this immediately." Her videos, a few thousand views maximum. No one, absolutely no one, suspects that behind this ridiculous mask hides a woman laundering billions of dollars in Bitcoin. It is the perfect cover. Who would suspect someone who voluntarily humiliates themselves before all of the internet? But behind the scenes unfolds an entirely different operation. Ilya and Heather launched the most complex cryptocurrency laundering system in history. The laundering methods. The problem with cryptocurrency is that it is not anonymous. It is pseudonymous. Every transaction is recorded in the public blockchain forever. Anyone can trace the movement of coins from wallet to wallet. Stealing bitcoins is easy. Spending them without getting arrested, almost impossible. Ilya understands this better than anyone. That is why he develops a multi-level system. Level 1. Creation of false identities. Ilya and Heather register hundreds of fake accounts on decentralized platforms around the world. Each identity has its own email, internet protocol address via virtual private network, fake documents. Some platforms do not require identity verification for small amounts. Ilya exploits this by processing thousands of small transactions instead of a few large ones. Level 2. Cryptocurrency mixers. The stolen bitcoins pass through services like Chip Mixer. The mixer takes your dirty bitcoins and exchanges them for clean bitcoins from other sources. The link between the original theft and the new coins is broken. At least, that is how it should work in theory. Level 3. Asset conversion. Ilya buys with bitcoins everything that can be exchanged for real money. Walmart, Amazon, iTunes gift cards. Thousands of cards for amounts from $50 to $500. Then, he resells these cards on underground forums for clean money or new bitcoins. Gold. Lots of physical gold purchased on darknet markets. Gold can be sold legally practically anywhere. Non-fungible tokens. In 2021 to 2022, The non-fungible token market experiences a boom. Ilya buys digital art with bitcoins, then resells it for Ethereum or other cryptocurrencies. Each conversion adds a layer of confusion. Level 4. Shell companies. Ilya registers dozens of companies across the world. Hong Kong, Singapore, British Virgin Islands, Belize. The companies open bank accounts. The companies provide each other with consulting services. Money circulates legally on paper, but in reality it is simply laundering stolen funds via corporate structures. Level 5. Small purchases via the darknet. Need cash? Ilya buys it directly from dealers on the darknet. $10,000 in cash for bitcoins with a 20% premium. Dealers meet couriers. Couriers transmit envelopes. No trace in the banking system. In 5 years, Ilya and Heather executed more than 25,000 distinct transactions. Each transaction, a step in a giant dance of obfuscating tracks. They moved millions through dozens of countries, hundreds of wallets, thousands of intermediary addresses. And throughout this entire time, they lived in a luxurious $4 million Manhattan apartment, purchased in cash. They traveled to Europe, Asia, frequented the best restaurants, but could not spend too visibly, could not buy a Ferrari, could not buy a yacht, because any large purchase would have attracted attention. They were sitting on a mountain of $10 billion and could only spend crumbs. It was the torment of Tantalus. Wealth within reach, but inaccessible. The hunt begins. 2016 to 2021. 5 years of tracking. The Federal Bureau of Investigation creates a special task force to investigate the Bitfinex hack. On the team, the best cybercrime agents, blockchain analysts, money laundering experts. The problem is that the Bitcoin blockchain is public but anonymous. You see all the transactions, but you do not know who is behind them. The Federal Bureau of Investigation uses blockchain forensic analysis. Special software traces each transaction with the stolen bitcoins. Algorithms search for patterns. The first 2 years, no progress. The hacker is too cautious. The transactions are irregular. The coins pass through hundreds of mixers. But in 2018, analysts notice a clue. A small portion of the stolen bitcoins passes through a platform with minimal verification. The agents obtain a warrant and find an email address that leads to an Internet Protocol address in New York. The trail leads to a cloud account registered in the name of Ilya Lichtenstein. In 2019 to 2020, agents obtain a surveillance warrant. They track every move of the couple, and especially every cryptocurrency transaction. The breakthrough occurs in 2021. The agents discover that Ilya uses cloud storage for backups. In this storage, a document passwords.txt, the Federal Bureau of Investigation obtains a warrant. Inside the file, hundreds of private keys to cryptocurrency wallets with a direct link to the bitcoins stolen from Bitfinex. This is the fatal error. A man with an intelligence quotient above 160, who executed more than 25,000 transactions to obfuscate tracks, saved the passwords of all wallets in a text file in the cloud. No encryption, no additional protection. Just a text file with the keys to billions of dollars. It is like a bank robber leaving the list of all his hideouts on the refrigerator under a magnet. By the end of 2021, the Federal Bureau of Investigation has the complete picture. All that remains is to arrest the criminals. But there is a problem. If Ilya understands that he is being monitored, he can destroy the evidence in seconds. The operation is therefore planned like a military assault, without warning, without negotiation. February 8th, 2022. The day of reckoning, 6 in the morning. Manhattan. Ilya and Heather sleep in their $4 million apartment, purchased in cash in 2019. Officially, with the income from their company. Unofficially, with 0.0008% of the loot. 12 Federal Bureau of Investigation agents surround the building. Each has instructions: burst in, secure the suspects, seize devices in 90 seconds, one click on the laptop, and the private keys to 94,000 bitcoins disappear forever. 603. The battering ram breaks down the door. Heather wakes to the crash. 12 armed people burst into the apartment. Federal Bureau of Investigation, do not move! Ilya does not have time to reach the computer. An agent seizes it first. The handcuffs snap shut. 40 seconds, search. Kitchen. They check cupboards, the refrigerator. Living room. They seize 7 laptops, 15 phones, 4 tablets. Bedroom. A book with hollowed-out pages. Inside, $50,000 in cash. Bathroom. Behind the mirror, a safe with 12 universal serial bus drives. 7:15. Ilya and Heather are escorted out in handcuffs. Neighbors film with their phones. By evening, the video will reach 2 million views. In the car, Ilya remains silent, stares out the window, absolutely calm. An agent will say later, he looked like he had been arrested for a parking ticket, not for stealing $3.6 billion. Heather talks nonstop, claims she knew nothing, that it was all Ilya. The agents record every word. In the apartment, the Federal Bureau of Investigation finds $50,000 in cash, dozens of phones, laptops with encrypted hard drives, and most importantly, access to the cloud storage with the file titled passwords.txt. Inside the file, the private keys to 94,000 bitcoins. During interrogation, Ilya remains silent for 6 hours. He requests a lawyer, but his wife cracks faster. Heather begins to talk, first confusedly, then in more detail. She says she did not know the scale, that Ilya had told her it was legal arbitrage trading, that she was just helping with transfers. The investigators do not believe a word. Correspondence shows that Heather knew everything. She created false identities. She opened bank accounts. She cashed out bitcoins via shell companies. She was not a victim, but an accomplice. Media explosion. February 8th, 2022, 2 in the afternoon. Press conference of the United States Department of Justice. Deputy Attorney General Lisa Monaco stands before dozens of journalists and cameras. Behind her, a slide with the figure, $3,600,000,000. Today, we announce the largest financial seizure in the history of the Department of Justice, she says. We have seized 94,000 bitcoins stolen during the 2016 Bitfinex hack. This is the largest cryptocurrency seizure in history. The news explodes on the internet within minutes. Cable news network interrupts its programming for a special bulletin. Bloomberg, Reuters, Financial Times publish articles simultaneously. But what shocks people most is not the sum. What shocks people is the identity of the criminals. Journalists begin digging into Ilya and Heather's biographies and find the Razzlecon YouTube channel, the cringe rap videos, the clips where Heather makes faces and raps that she is, quote, 19. Her own words from an article for Forbes. Quote 20. Within 24 hours, her videos accumulate millions of views. Twitter explodes with memes. Reddit creates dozens of threads. TikTok is filled with parodies of her clips. Everyone discusses the absurdity of the situation. A woman laundering billions of dollars voluntarily posts cringe rap clips on YouTube. It is so surreal it seems invented. But it is reality. And this reality goes viral. By the end of the week, the hashtag Razzlecon reaches 50 million views. Netflix and home box office simultaneously announced the development of documentaries on this case. The trial. The following 18 months, Ilya and Heather wage legal battles. Their lawyers attempt to negotiate a plea deal with the prosecution. Prosecutors want the maximum sentence, 20 years in prison for each. Ilya is held in a high-security federal prison. He is transferred from cell to cell every 3 weeks. Guards fear that other inmates will attempt to force him to reveal the location of the remaining bitcoins. Heather's held separately in a women's block. Her RazzleCon YouTube channel has by this time accumulated millions of views. The comments are merciless. In August 2023, a breakthrough occurs. Ilya pleads guilty. Completely. Without reservation. He acknowledges conspiracy to launder money, fraud against the United States, cryptocurrency theft. But there is a condition. Ilya agrees to cooperate with the investigation. He tells agents every detail of the operation, how he hacked Bitfinex, what vulnerabilities he exploited, how he built the laundering system. This is unprecedented information for the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Ilya essentially gives them a cybercrime manual. A week later, Heather also pleads guilty. Her lawyers understand that without a deal, she risks the maximum sentence. She acknowledges her complicity in money laundering. The prosecutors do not agree with her version. Evidence shows that Heather was an active participant at every stage. The sentence. March 2024. The judge reads the sentence for Ilya Lichtenstein. The courtroom is packed. Journalists have filled all the rows. Victims of the Bitfinex hack sit in the front rows. Curious observers stand along the walls. Cameras are forbidden, but court sketch artists rapidly sketch the scene. Ilya Lichtenstein. The court sentences you to 5 years imprisonment in federal prison. 5 years. This is considerably less than the 20-year maximum. The judge takes into account Ilya's cooperation with the investigation, his complete admission of guilt, the absence of violence in the crime, and the fact that the majority of stolen funds were recovered. Ilya listens to the sentence without emotion, nods. He is led out of the room. November 2024. Sentence for Heather Morgan. She stands before the judge, pale, in prison attire. Her lawyers request the minimum sentence. They emphasize her lesser role in the crime, her youth, the absence of a criminal past. Quote, 22. 18 months, a year and a half. This is a shockingly lenient sentence for someone involved in laundering $3.6 billion. But the judge takes into account the same factors: cooperation, admission of guilt, restitution of funds. Heather cries when she is led away. Her YouTube career is finished. Her reputation is destroyed. Her name is forever linked to one of the greatest cybercrimes in history. The final irony. Here is what no one talks about publicly, but what everyone secretly thinks. If Ilya and Heather had simply stolen the bitcoins and done nothing with them, if they had hidden the private keys somewhere safe and waited, if they had not tried to cash out a single cent, today, in 2024, those 119,754 bitcoins would be worth more than $10 billion. $10 billion for doing nothing. Just waiting. Just holding. Just sitting on a digital fortune and watching it grow. But they could not stop. They could not simply sit on a mountain of money. They wanted to spend, live luxuriously, enjoy the loot. And this greed, this impatience, this arrogance destroyed them. A genius with an intelligence quotient of 160 plus makes the stupidest mistake in the history of cybercrime. He saves the evidence in cloud storage. A file titled, quote, 23, no encryption, no additional protection. Just a text file with the keys to billions of dollars. It is like a bank robber leaving the list of all his hideouts on the refrigerator under a magnet. Where they are now. Number 1. Ilya serves his sentence in a medium-security federal prison in Pennsylvania. He spends his time reading books on philosophy, cryptography, and quantum physics. His fellow inmates call him, quote, 24, quote, guards, say he is a model prisoner, calm, polite, no problems. Heather serves her sentence in a federal women's prison in California. She writes memoirs about her experience. Her literary agent has already received offers from several publishers. Netflix is interested in the rights for a documentary. Even in prison, Heather tries to become famous. And somewhere in the blockchain, in anonymous wallets protected by passwords that only Ilya knows, still lie approximately 25,000 bitcoins. The Federal Bureau of Investigation never found them. Analysts monitor the blockchain every day, waiting for the coins to start moving. But they are motionless, frozen in time, waiting for the day when Ilya gets out of prison. The value of these coins today, approximately $1.8 billion. At the time of Ilya's release in 2029, they could be worth $5 billion, or 10, or 0, if cryptocurrencies collapse. But Ilya remains silent. He has not told the investigation where these coins are, has not indicated the wallets, has not revealed the keys. This is his last trump card, his insurance, his ticket to the future after prison. The final lesson. The story of Ilya, quote, 25, Liechtenstein and Heather, quote, 26. Morgan is not just a story about stealing billions. It is a story about how technology promises anonymity, but always leaves traces. About how genius in one domain does not protect from stupidity in another. About how arrogance leads to the downfall even of the smartest criminals. They stole $4.5 billion, executed more than 25,000 transactions, fooled blockchain analysts for 5 years, lived a double life before the eyes of millions of people, and everything collapsed because of a single file. Quote 27. Saved in the cloud. Accessible to the Federal Bureau of Investigation with a warrant. Because in the end, the weakest link in any security system is the human. And even a human with an intelligence quotient of 160 plus can make a beginner's mistake. Ilya and Heather prove that, in the world of cryptocurrencies, one can steal billions. But they also proved that one cannot enjoy the loot without paying the price. Their story is a warning. For hackers dreaming of easy money. For criminals thinking that technology will make them invulnerable. For all those who believe they can fool the system eternally. Sooner or later, the system strikes back. And when that happens, even pink hair and gold chains will not save you.